Blackwell Consolidation. I'm Jon Card. I'm the IT programmer for the company. I've been here 29 years. I've seen a few changes in that time. First, I'd like to go around and have the new hires introduce themselves and tell me a little bit about you and what lane you're going to be working. So you go ahead and start.
Scott, going to be working on flatbed and brand new to it. Been driving for about a year, so excited to learn something new.
Okay, great.
My name is Eric. I'm from Southern California. I'll be driving for Blackwell. Familiar with the lane I'm going to be running. Really like it, so looking forward to it.
Okay.
Christopher, I'm from Northwest New Jersey. 18 years driving. I'll be running RGN over the road.
All right.
Todd Michaels. Live here in Central Point, and I worked here 4 years ago, back in 2019, doing glass, and I'll be running Fresno dedicated.
Okay. Well, great. Welcome all. You just showed up in time to participate in driver appreciation, which is next month. We are also doing spouse appreciation in September. We did already send out an email to remind you to nominate your spouse. If you haven't seen the email or you still want to nominate your spouse, our Facebook Team Combined page has a link on there to nominate your spouse. Last year we only had 19 people sign up. This year we've had over 90 drivers nominate their spouse, so good job. So spouse appreciation is going to be September 3rd through the 9th. And so we'll be sending messages. I guess we do a random drawing for the spouses, and they'll send some emails out telling you who won for the day, and we'll do drawings all week for that. And then the 10th through the 16th is driver appreciation. Same thing, we'll randomly draw drivers and let you know what you won. And then they'll make arrangements for you either to come by to pick it up, or we send it home, or whatever. So that's all the semi-good news, I guess. Driver time off and vacation requests. In the past, I wasn't doing this. When you do a time off or vacation request, you fill out a form on your PeopleNet unit. It comes into our system and it posts. Well, for whatever reason, I wasn't checking your driver ID, and that's what you were supposed to be putting in. Now I am validating the driver ID. So if you didn't type in your driver ID or you fat-fingered it or something, you will get a rejection notice saying, hey, your time off has been rejected because the driver is inactive or whatever. And when you look at it, I give you the driver ID. So you just need to say, oh, yeah, I typed in the wrong driver ID. The nice thing about PeopleNet, if you're aware of this, is you can go into your sent message file and actually edit the sent message, make the correction to the driver ID, and resend the message. You don't have to retype it up all from scratch. You just have to make the correction. So that's probably our number one issue, is the driver types in the wrong number, whether it's his driver ID or when you're transflowing a load in, you type in the wrong CT number. Either you get your numbers mixed up or you just type in the wrong number. So please double check before you click that final send to make sure that number is correct. The other thing, when you're sending in TransFlow, you need to send in all the paperwork, not just the page that the driver or that the customer signs, but if they gave you 5 pages, you need to send us copies of all 5 pages. That's really important. All 5 pages. And then remember, you need to hold the paperwork for at least 30 days before you get rid of it. That way it gives us a chance to have you resend it if there's a problem or something's missing. We've had a few minor problems with border crossings for any of you Canadian drivers. You need to remember that you have to wait an hour after approval before you can cross the border. Now, if you do everything properly, no problem, because you're going to turn in your paperwork, you're going to get your approval maybe a day before you even cross the border. So it's no problem. But if you ran into a problem and you get up to the border and you have to wait until you get your clearance, you have to wait a full hour before you cross that border. We just had a driver over on the East Coast that showed up. They said, your paperwork's wrong, it's a duplicate, so we had to go back. We filled out the paperwork, resubmitted it, and he went across, and they let him go through, but then we got a notice from Canada saying, hey, your guys showed up before the clearance was approved. So it's real important, and they get really cranky at us if you try and show up at the wrong time trying to cross into Canada. So please make sure if you're stuck at the border waiting for a clearance, you got to wait for an hour after they clear you before you can go across. The other thing is I'm sure no one has to tell you, it's hot out. You need to make sure you're drinking water. Soda's not so good, coffee is not so great. Water is the way to go. You need to make sure that you're soaked in water here. We don't have it here, and I don't know why, but over at the White House, when you go to the restroom over there, they have a little chart, and it says, look at your pee when you're peeing. If it's real yellow, that's bad. You want it to be clear or, a little yellow. So pay attention and watch what you're doing. Trip planning. When they give you a load and they tell you you need to be there at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it is, please make sure that you're figuring it out that you can do that pickup and you can do that delivery. And if you can't, you need to communicate with them. If you're in the middle of the trip and you break down, just because you told driver services, hey, I broke down and I need to get service, you still need to call dispatch. Say, hey, dispatch, I broke down, so that everybody is aware. Especially in heavy haul, sometimes you're going to have crane offloads and stuff. It's really important to make sure you're there on time, and if you're going to be late, we need to notify the customer as soon as possible so that the crane doesn't show up and we get crane charges because somebody's waiting around and you're not there. Another issue that we just recently had was we took a load to one of our customers right here in Central Point, and there was no seal on the reefer trailer. That's the big no-no. A couple things that you need to remember. One, there's this great big Food Safety Act going on, which has been out here for several years, and everybody has to guarantee food safety. So if your reefer is not locked or sealed, and you parked at a truck stop and you walked away from your truck, how do you know somebody didn't get in the back of your reefer and contaminated that food? There's no guarantee. That's why it's so important to make sure when you pick up your trailer that it's got a seal on it. And if it doesn't have a seal on it and the customer says, well, I'm all out of seals, write it down on the bill of lading. Customer release trailer without seal. And then take a padlock and just stick it on the trailer. And then when you get back to the consignee, don't take the padlock off until you're backed in and they're ready to open it. I would say every time you have a reefer load on, you should just lock it, either with the customer seal or with the padlock. It really doesn't matter. If you get in the habit of doing that, then even if you got a load of lumber, it's locked so you feel better. Remember to check those trailers. And glass guys, Blackwell guys, for the most part, you guys get different trailers all the time. So you need to inspect those trailers when you pick them up. Walk around them, do a pre-trip, check the DOT. Has the DOT expired? We had one guy just recently that was driving another trailer and the DOT was expired 10 days. So we're supposed to know that. But honestly, it's really hard when a trailer is not assigned to a truck. In heavy haul, when you got an RGN and you're always assigned to that tractor, it's very easy to track that RGN and say, hey, the DOT's expired on it. But when it's not assigned to a truck and it's just sitting at some customer's yard, it's a lot harder for us to recognize that the DOT is expired on that one. Even though we might recognize it, we don't know who to tell. You know, I mean, we'll tell driver services and we'll tell dispatch, but for you drivers, I couldn't tell you because you weren't hooked up to the trailer. And until you're assigned to that trailer, I don't have anybody to notify. We send out emails every Tuesday and every Thursday about expired PMs on your truck. And if you're under a load, when I create the messages, I will check the trailer and send you a message about your trailer also. But if you're not dispatched with that trailer, I can't send you a message because I don't know that you're going to get assigned to that trailer. So you walk around, do your pre-trip inspection of the trailer, check the DOT on the trailer, then you don't have to worry if you get my message or not because you know. Now, on the other hand, if I keep telling you, hey, you need to do this PM and it's already been done, you need to let somebody know. You need to let driver services know, hey, PM 48's been done, or the PM 27, the DOT has already been done. Why do you keep sending me a message? Maybe we did the work order and we forgot to mark it down as a PM on that. And so we're going to continue to keep telling you twice a week until it gets fixed in our system. So please let us know so we don't keep sending you messages or you just get to the point where you ignore all the messages. We don't want that. And lumper receipts. So if they tell you, oh, don't worry about the lumper receipt, you're on contract, or we'll just bill you because we have an account with you. That's not acceptable. You have to get a receipt every time. Honestly, the only one that's we don't really care about is if you're doing a relay load, because relay sends us a copy of the receipt. But you should just plan on anytime you have a lumper, we need a receipt. And they should never tell you you don't need a receipt. We want the receipt. A lot of our customers will not pay for the lumper unless we give them the receipt. And some of the customers won't pay us if we don't give them the lumper receipt within 24 hours of the lumper. So please remember to give us your lumper receipts as well as all paperwork. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Name, department?
Me, I'm Jon Card, and I'm an IT programmer.
Oh, okay. Hi, John. I'm John Tizer.
Hi.
Be driving with Blackwell.
Great.
I'll make one comment if you don't mind. I'm current driver for Blackwell. But one thing that'll happen when you're out there is you'll get notification that your reefer needs service. Problem is, you can't get it serviced except at a dealer if you don't have the filters.
Yes.
So it's a good idea, if you're driving for Blackwell, get a set of Thermo King filters and a set of whatever the other
Kind
one.
of
Carrier?
Carrier filters, and have them on your truck, and that way you can get your reefer service at a truck stop.
In fact, I just saw a message today, a driver asked, he was coming through and he wanted to pick up a set of filters so that he could get his reefer serviced on the road. And that's a good point. I don't know what the problem is with these Carrier and Thermo King, why they can't get their filters out to truck stops and stuff. You know, I'm sorry, that's all back ordered. They don't have any. It's
There's
crazy.
no problem purchasing them here. I don't know why they can't get it there.
Exactly. Now, I do think that we went to Thermo King or Carrier, I don't remember which, and just said, hey, we just bought a bunch of trailers from you. We need those doggone filters. So maybe that had something to do with it, I don't know. But yes, it is important. We need to keep the reefer unit serviced. I think Roger's ready to start pulling his hair out over the problems with all the reefers we have, but we're making progress. We bought a bunch of new trailers this year, and I'm sure you'll see some of them as they cycle through the fleet. Any other questions or anything? No?